What up? What up? What up? Guess who's back, baby? Good to be back with everybody. Had to take a little vacation last week, but my boys, they held it down. I hope you catch the show last week. It was an awesome show. They did a phenomenal job. Dave leading the way, doing the hosting duties. A little under the weather today, but we're going to push through it. I got the fellas with me. The whole crew is intact. Why don't you guys shout out? Let them know who you are. Why don't you start off, Dave?
What's up, everybody? It's Dave in the cut.
Josh from East Side.
It's your boy Big Zeke.
Big Zeke in the building. Your boy CPZ as well. Man, we got an amazing show. A lot of topics to cover. Some crazy things. I mean, you're gonna want to stay tuned. We're gonna be talking about everything from the All Star game to whether or not one player, you're gonna find out who this player is when we get to that topic. Literally said had a teammate of his say that he was literally trying to not score as much so that he wouldn't become an All Star because he wanted to spend more time with his family. And then we got All Star players at the All Star game talking about how they want the MLB to adopt a new rule. They want that rule to be that you're allowed to charge the mound and get into hockey style fights in baseball. Crazy. We're going to talk about that. Sign stealing. Big drama, obviously, with the Astros back in the day. We're going to be talking about, the unwritten rules and, whether or not that should be allowed in today's game. Everything from Teddy Bridgewater suspension to whether or not it's time to adopt a new formula in baseball as far as pitchers going less and less deep into games, and whether it's time to do a tag team match style starting pitcher roundup. So we got a lot coming at you, and so we're gonna have a good time tonight, like we always do. But first, we got to give a shout out to our amazing sponsor, and I'm gonna throw it up to Josh to run away with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, how could we not forget? But it's the Opposition Radio. Dave talks about it all the time. He's part owner, and he knows the boys very well over the Opposition Radio. But today's episode is sponsored by Opposition Radio, bringing you the hottest Christian musicians from around the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Listen from your browser by visiting the opsradio.live. Opposition Radio, motivation to stand firm. So we appreciate Ops Radio for sponsoring the show. And soon enough, I'm sure you'll be seeing or hearing a couple of our episodes out there on the Ops Radio. So check them out, the opsradio.live.
All right, fellas. Well, if it's your first time out there joining us, we appreciate the Facebook fam coming in to join the podcast. Make sure that if you're on YouTube, leave us a comment. We'll usually put it up real time. We'll address it. If it's funny, we love to laugh. And so make sure you like and subscribe on the way in. And the way that we do our format is we put a topic up on the screen and then we give a 1 through 5, whether we agree or disagree. And then we just, we start chopping it up. So the first thing we're going to talk about, Josh, once you get it, throw it up on the screen. I think you also have a video to kind of to show as well.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and just kind of address the tag. Across sports, there's an art of picking up signs and signals from the opposing team, right? This should be considered cheating if done in game instead of being utilized during the pre-game prep. Let's show the video to give this a little bit of Zeke's favorite word, context.
So again, we're not going to have any audio here, just for the sake of seeing through. You guys can talk through this. Tell me what you're seeing here.
Dave, you want to take that?
So yeah, basically what's happening is you have a runner on second base for the Yankees. And what he's doing is he's using hand gestures to let the batter know what kind of pitch the pitcher is going to throw. Because the pitcher's not hiding his grip, the runner on second base can see his grip, and he's telling him, he's flailing his arms every time the pitcher grips for that type of pitch. That is called tipping pitches. It's not called sign stealing. But I'll let everybody else form their own opinion. This is clearly within the rules. They're not using any kind of technology, any kind of drum banging or garbage can banging or any kind of iPads or anything like that to try to steal the signs. This is in the heat of the game where they've picked up a tendency from the other team, and they're basically just using it to their advantage. So if you look there, you can see how the pitcher is gripping the ball, and then the runner can see what he's doing, and then he's like, okay, he's throwing a slider or he's throwing a cutter. He lets them know, so that way the batter will know that the ball is going to probably more than likely be out of the zone and not to swing at it. Zeke, you
All
want to add?
right.
Nah, that's pretty much it. Um,
Cool.
you
Well,
explained it perfectly.
let's take our vote first, and then we'll jump into our takes on that. And so,
All right.
like, fair or unfair, foul or not, on a scale of 1 to 5, fellas. The question again is, should this be considered cheating if done in game instead of being utilized during the pregame prep? Scale of 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3. Oh wow, we're all really low on this. Okay. All right. So Dave had 1 for our radio audience. Josh, I think you had a 2, right?
2.
I also had a 2, and then Zeke, I think you
I
had
had
a
a
1.
1. Yes, sir.
Okay, so all really low on this. Okay. Why don't we start this off? Dave, this was kind of your the topic you wanted to kind of chat about. Why don't you lead us off?
Yeah, man. So we all know that we know, but the audience may not know that there was a scandal with the Houston Astros where they were using garbage cans. They had a actual camera mounted out in the center field dead space there where they were videotaping the pitchers, and they were able to through the course of a game to pick up the signs of what a pitcher was going to throw. And then they had somebody down in there in the dugout in the hallway to the dugout from the dugout in the hallway to the locker rooms that had a monitor hooked up that was directly connected to that camera, and they were looking for specific pitches. And when those pitches were identified, they would bang on a garbage can, and you could hear it. You could literally hear it. And there were some individuals that have a YouTube channel. I don't need to give them any more publicity, but um, John Boy, because I like John Boy a lot. He picked up on this, and he was able to narrow this down to the Astros cheating, and it was one of the biggest scandals in baseball. And this guy and his team picked up on this. This is nowhere near what that was because um, they they went to the ends of the earth to set up technology to not just cheat against one team, but multiple teams. Any team that came and played them in their home stadium. In this instance, it's a situation where they someone got on base and they noticed, hey, I notice every time he throws his pitch, he's leaving his glove wide open, and I could see his grip. So when people were getting on, I think they picked up on this in the 7th inning, if I'm not mistaken. Um, the guy started tipping pitches, and they picked up on it, and they were signaling to their teammates, and the teammates took advantage of it. And in my opinion, that's just it's basically um, it's like playing. To me, it's like if you're playing somebody in checkers or chess, and you know their opening moves, and you memorize their opening moves, and you study how they move, and you use it to your advantage. I don't see it being any different than that. But there are going to be people out there who are Yankee haters, and they're going to say the Yankees cheated. They were stealing signs. It's not considered stealing signs when you're out on the field and you notice a pitcher tipping pitches. So, in my opinion, this is just it's a nothing burger. And I just think that even if I don't care if another team was doing this against the Yankees, it's fair play. If a pitcher's not smart enough to hide his pitching hand and hide his grip, then he deserves whatever comes after that. So that's my take.
All right. I think Zeke also had a 1. Zeke, why don't you jump in?
Yeah, this is like Dave said, this is a strategy that's probably as old as the game of baseball, as far as picking up on signs and um pitchers tipping pitches and everything. Um, this isn't um, like Spygate, where Belichick is sending scouts to uh, monitor like plays and signals and everything before the game, during practices or anything like that. This is just all right. They're being real sloppy with um, hiding what they're doing on the mound. We were able to pick it up, and until they fix it, I mean, we've had pitchers um, go through 3, 4 game stretches where they don't know why all of a sudden, like in that stretch of games, they have a ERA over 10 or whatever, and they go back and figure it out. They watch tape, and the pitcher goes like, "Oh yeah, you're tipping your pitches." They fix that, and then all of a sudden they're pitching lights out again. Um, I know I've seen a couple instances where um, pitchers, like closing pitchers, Kenley Jensen and Craig Kimbrell specifically, they would intentionally balk to get a runner off of second base so that the runner wouldn't be able to give signals to the hitter on where the catcher is setting up, or what type of pitch is being thrown. They just put them on third base so they can do what
I've
they got to
seen that.
do just to take that advantage away from the offensive team. So yeah, this is. I mean, what the Yankees did, I don't see a big deal with it. It's nothing like what the Astros did. This wasn't them um, watching video, and I mean it. And even like with baseball, like if you got a pitcher like tipping pitches like that, given any kind of tell, even I mean if you watch video like before the game, not during the game like the Astros are doing with the video camera set up in center field, but if you're watching tape before the game and you can pick up on certain tells, um, with the quarterback, if he holds the ball a certain way, he's going this way, or if he drop steps this many, there's things you can pick up through legit studying of tape. But to use methods like the Astros did back in what 2017, that's grimy. But if you're gonna pick up stuff like this, where you got players giving tells on what they're gonna do, it's like when you're playing poker. If you twitch your eye, they know you're bluffing. That's your fault. Fix that. That's why you see a lot of poker players wear glasses. So yeah, this is nothing, man.
Josh, why don't you get in here?
Man, it's hard to top what the two just said. I gave this a two because I also agree. I don't think that there's anything wrong here with what this is. It's competition, right? And um, if you're a smart player and you have a great IQ of the game, you're gonna naturally pick up on people's tells. Pick up on these movements or these hand positions, right? It just comes with the nature of the game, and so I agree. Doing this on the field live with your eyes, not an issue. Doing this with some sort of recording device or some sort of technology during the game, big problem. And I like what Zeke said, like it this doesn't include watching tape. I think that all major sports teams and individual players, right? If you're on a solo match, you're going to watch your opponent's tape and you're going to learn like their step back moves or their positioning or their ball placement or their different tells, right? Just because you're trying to get that competitive edge on them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just the nature of competition. So here, I gave this a two. I think that if you do this within the rules and regulations and what's allowed and doing this on the fly, no problem here. And like Zeke said, if you're losing because somebody's picking up on your tells, do better.
Yeah, and I think I'm kind of obviously I think we all are kind of in the same boat on this. I would go as far as to say is that to me, like even as Christians, where they're like, man, you got to play the sport, in a fair way, you know, um, just kind of thinking about, man, if God is watching you, kind of thing. But to me, and I know this is probably not the right thing to say, but when you have referees, when you got officials on the field, on the court, that's their job to police the game. That's their job to say what's fair and what's foul. And so as long as it's within the rules and the dynamics of the game, like I'm okay with that. Like I remember when I was playing, in high school, we were in the playoffs, and they hit a ball out to, I want to say it was like right field. I ranged all the way over to catch it. I think right. I was in center. I ranged all the way over to right to try to catch that. Ended up not getting there in time and trapped it. But it was bang bang. It was like close. So like I sold it. I put the ball up like, hey, threw it in. You know what I mean? We're trying to win. It's the umpire's job to catch that and call it the way he sees it. It's my job to try to win the game for my team. You know what I mean? So as long as there's an umpire there, I think that's his job. I will go as far as to say like if you're like stealing signs by picking up because now a lot of the pitchers they use like an audio device. So if they're using technology to steal signs in that way, I think that is I would fully agree that would be cheating, and I would change my perspective on that. But as long as we're just talking about, hey, he's on second base, he's the pitcher's not picking up those signs. I got no problem with that. But in general, I really would have no problem with that. Like if a basketball player is like every time he drives, pulling on the guy's arm in a way that the ref can't see it. Sure, if I'm a fan of that team, I'm upset because I feel like he's cheating. But I mean, like, is he cheating though? Like, I mean, I guess, but it's not like anything that's illegal. So, like, to me, it's like, it's part of the game. So, unless you guys got anything to add, I think we were pretty universal on that. I wanted to give kind of like a different take on our next topic. What we wanted to get into was a growing trend that I'm seeing across baseball. And so let me just set up the premise, at least with this, is that more and more teams are going to every single game that you watch in MLB, you're going to the bullpen almost every single one at some point during the game. It's a trend that you just really didn't see very much back in the day. And I think it's because the MLB has fully adopted a 100 pitch limit. Every game I watch, it's getting near the end. And the end is just not that the pitcher is getting tired, it's just that he's nearing his 100 pitch limit, right? And so the MLB has fully adopted a 100 pitch limit with the percentage of pitchers that make even a 7 inning start on the decline. Here's the question. It is time to pivot to a tandem starter system in the MLB. So what I mean is that instead of announcing just one pitcher, you're announcing two pitchers because we're talking about a 9 inning game. So if you're talking about a 9 inning game and the pitchers are averaging right now about 5.1 innings per start, if you look at the starters, maybe it's time to introduce tandem starting pitchers. You got one guy who starts the first five, if he can make it that long, because sometimes they don't, and the other guy that takes the back half. What say you? Count of five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got Dave at a 2. We got Josh at a 3. And Zeke is at a 1. I'm at a 5. I'm all in on this. But all right. But who's at a 1 again? That was Zeke. All right, I'll let you go first, and Zeke.
Man, this is gonna be short and sweet. PZ, with all due respect, that's probably one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. Um,
Okay.
I, we already got a bullpen. Like, why do we need to announce? Oh, starting today's game, we got Shohei going for the first five, and then we're gonna bring in Yamamoto for four. Like, why do we need to know that? We're gonna let Shohei go until we say he can't go. We don't need to script out our pitching. I mean, I know we got guys who do the openers, like especially with Shohei coming off of the surgery or whatever, they'll let him go 3-4 innings or whatever. And then a lot of times we do know who's going to be following up in bulk relief because there's not too many long relievers on these teams. You're not going to have guys come out of the pen all the time throwing 3, 4, 5 innings. So yeah, I mean, I I agree with you. Like I hate the trend of like the five and dive style where you got a pitcher who you know is only gonna go 5 innings because they're not pitching as efficiently as they used to. Um, I've praised this guy before, and I'll probably keep praising him until I don't have breath in my lungs anymore. But Greg Maddux, I mean, They have a game named after him, a complete game in less than 100 pitches. It's called a Greg Maddux. It's a Maddux. But pitchers don't pitch like Maddux anymore because all they want to do is come out and throw as hard as they can, and nobody's locating. So you're throwing more balls than strikes, or a lower percentage of strikes than you probably want to, and the pitchers aren't as efficient. I think that's the biggest problem. It used to be 100 pitches would get you through 6 or 7 innings. Now that's not the case anymore. I don't know if batters are doing better with recognizing balls and strikes. I don't know if umpires are getting suckier at calling balls and strikes. Maybe this will change with the ABS system. I mean, we saw last night in the All-Star game, you get a ball that crosses the strike zone by a seam, it's going to be called a strike. So maybe
Yep.
we will have less walks and less high pitch counts within the first 5 innings of a game. But to force a team to announce who's going to be pitching, I mean, you never know what's going to happen. So what happens if you say we're going to have this guy pitch 5 innings, but he blows his arm out after two? You got to bring the other guy in and bring somebody else in. No, just leave the structure and the procedure and the way that we announce pitchers. You got your starting rotation. We'll go with that. What I think we should do is I wish we could have like some of these old school pitchers who used to be able to pitch 6, 7, 8, 9 innings on the regular, have them come back and be pitching coaches and teach these young boys how to pitch and not just throw. We got a lot of throwers, we got a lot of flamethrowers. We don't have a lot of pitchers. We need more pitchers in baseball, which would bring back the days of a quality start isn't all that quality because you look at the perimeter of a quality start, you got a 4.5 ERA and be considered a good day. 4.5 ERA isn't all that great, but that's what they consider a quality start. But we don't even have those anymore because, like you said, pitchers are going out in 5 innings. So if we get some of these old school pitchers like a Maddox or a Smoltz or a Glavine or a David Cone or Johan Santana, I'll give the Mets some love here. I don't want y'all to think it's just all Braves, but to come back and teach these young boys how to pitch instead of just go out there and throw hard, then I think we'd be in a much better place with baseball pitching.
All right. Fair enough. Let me do this. Let me jump in next here then, to kind of like give this a little bit of life because it sounds like you know. Obviously, Dave it seems like he's more on the tip. Let me of Zeke, and so let me see if I could give this a little bit of life here. So this is why I thought it was important, and why I actually don't think it's a bad idea. I actually think it's a great idea. And so, like, here's the thing: when you look at the trends, you go back, and I was trying to look at like a decade over decade, and so when you go back to the year, and I just arbitrarily picked 1974, right? We had 1,000 and almost 90 complete games that year. Complete games. The starter started, starter finished it. Complete games. A decade later, it was 632, right? Decade later, 94 now, 255. Decade later, 2004, 150. Now let's jump to today.
Yep.
At this point in the season,
Yep.
we have 12,
Yep.
12 complete games. It is a trend that is, I think, is disturbing, right? To the point where this is the part that, as a fan, I think this might be the way to go. Is because when you look at these MLB teams, most of the people in these bullpens are specialty pitchers now. They got one or two good pitches, like you said, Zeke. They're not actual, like, they don't understand the craft of pitching. They have to get back to understanding the craft of pitching. And so you see every single team at the trade deadline. Watch, trade deadline is coming up, I think, in like a week or two. Almost every single team is in on bullpen arms. Why? Is because they're cycling through these guys. Most teams, their bullpen is full of people who have pitched on the AAA level at some point this year. So you're getting people that aren't the most talented MLB professional players playing on the big stage in big moments just because the starters can't go that long and they haven't trained the next generation to do more than one or two pitches, right? They haven't taught them to pitch, right? So we need to kind of start saying, hey, we're not going to just try to funnel all these AAA pitchers down to, hey, you got one good pitch, you got two good pitches. That's not enough. we need to develop you, truly develop you as a real pitcher, and with the expectation that you're going 4 to 5 innings, and that way these guys can stay at the major league level longer, right? And they don't have to have this kind of like drama where you're constantly looking for the next guy who can throw 99. You know, I heard something that was really interesting the other day, and so I'll share this with the audience. How many of you guys out there have heard of the term Uncle Charlie? I'm sure Dave and Zeke have heard of that term. It's a term, it's a slang term in baseball to refer to the curveball. I didn't know this before like about a week ago. I heard this on some kind of podcast when I was on vacation. And the original term for Uncle Charlie was a slang term. It originated as a playful jab at the Harvard president at the time, who publicly criticized the curveball, right? Because he thought it was a deceptive pitch. And so the curveball wasn't always around. And so I remember when I was, in Little League, and I was a pitcher at the time because I had a strong arm. I could throw it pretty hard, right? And I was trying to mess with the curveball, and they kept telling me it's like throwing a light switch. You got to like turn your arm like this, but you shouldn't be messing with that. You're too young right now. Just continue to throw the fastball. You're going to get people out with that. You don't want to mess up your arm that young. And so I never really developed it the way that I probably should have because I was there like, well, I don't want to mess up my arm, so I'm not going to mess with it, right? And so a lot of these younger kids are doing that now. And you're having these pitching issues where if we could just teach these people how to put the fastball high, how to put it low, how to put it outside, how to put it inside, and you do what Greg Maddux, I'll give him props, the Atlanta Brave pitcher, did so very well, which was you don't need to throw 99 to get professional hitters out. And so, like, I think that's why this would be a great move because you're going to get more people that can pitch longer and will actually be professionals. They'll actually know how to pitch. And so, I'm all in on tag team pitching, but I'll let Dave either dissect it or agree with me on some points.
All right. So real quick, I'll touch on the tag team aspect. Um, I've never been a proponent of the MLB or the show being a place where you come to figure it out. If you don't already know it, you don't belong in the show. The coaches are there to help you hone what you already know and to turn you into a pro. All right. So you may have the skill set when you're a AAA and they call you up, but once you get there, they're gonna take the best pieces. They're gonna take what they called you up for, and they're gonna hone that, and they're gonna dial it in. And this whole concept of having having a tag team tandem for pitchers is basically it's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And what I mean by that is the system isn't broken. The pieces are. And the system has been in place for over 100 years. And it's worked. You have guys, you call them whatever you want back when Ruth and them played. Call them whatever you want. Call them bums, call them plumbers, call them janitors, call them whatever you want. But they're in the hall. And they're in the hall for a reason. And so everybody today is playing catch up to these guys. And they did what was needed for their time. And for today's time, what needs to happen is, like Zeke said, these guys need to learn how to pitch. It's not about throwing. All right. If you're a pitcher, you need to know how to pitch. You need to have an arsenal that does multiple things. You can't be a one-trick pony. One of the things that I tell my grandson all the time is that I want my grandson to be a shortstop really bad because he's very athletic. But when I see that his coach putting him at third base, at second base, he has him at first base, he has him catching. When I see him doing that, he's preparing him so that no matter where he goes, he'll be a valuable piece to whatever team he plays on because he'll know how to play all positions. When you're a pitcher, unless you're a closer, if you're a starting pitcher, your arsenal shouldn't be just 3 pitches. And you shouldn't be dominating with just a fastball, not in today's game. Because at some point you're going to gas out. And I think the big issue today is that There's too many scouts looking for the guy that could throw over 103 consistently. They want guys that just have rocket arms all the time, which is just dumb because they're gonna burn these guys out. Um, if a guy is being signed as a starting pitcher and he comes in and he's making starter pitcher money, he should be throwing at least 6 innings every start, unless he's hurt. I think it's PZ, you said the system that we have right now wouldn't having a starter and then having a person come in after that. We have that already. It's called a starting pitcher and it's called a middle reliever. Middle reliever usually is like if the guy can't go over 4 or 5 innings, um, but um, if a guy can go longer, then you're going to your setup man and then your closer after that. But you're not seeing that because I'll give you an example. The Yankees, Aaron Boone has this chart that even the media has it. Every time they play on the Yes Network, Michael K brings up his little load management chart. He has a chart about what days the pitchers pitched and how many pitches they threw and who can be used and who can't be used. That's complete nonsense to me. It's like you're a baseball player. It's like if they need you out of the pen and you're getting paid to be a relief pitcher, you're getting paid to be a setup man, or you're being paid to be a closer, that's your role. I don't care if you pitch 2 days in a row. Like when did we get to this point where it's like, oh, this guy already pitched 2 days in a row. He can't throw another 2 innings today. What is that? Like, what are we doing? Like what has baseball turned into that um they're coddling these guys? And I'll tell you what it is. It's because their arms can't handle it. Because not only are the starting pitchers being um they're being bred to throw as hard as they can, but now they want the middle reliever, they want the long reliever and middle reliever, the setup guy and the closer to have the same makeup. And that's where we're at right now. I don't feel like you need to change the game because the product you're putting out on the field is bad. The product is universal. It's turnstile. But the game is the game. The game has always been the game, and the game will always be the game. The product is always going to change, though. And I don't think you change the game because of the product. That's just my opinion.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like you kind of agree with the issues that I'm seeing, but maybe a different way of going about it. I think and that's kind of what I was saying is I don't think the middle reliever. I mean, there's really no middle relievers. I just hate seeing the cascade of arms coming in that are specialty guys, and they're not very talented players. They're all AAA level. They really shouldn't be in baseball. But
I mean,
yeah,
for the
Josh,
for
you
the
got
most part,
anything?
they got rid of the specialty guy though. Like you can't have a specialty guy when you got to face a minimum of three batters when you come in. Like unless you're catching them at the end of an inning.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you're not gonna have like your one of the top righties come out to face Aaron Judge, and then we got Jazz Chisholm coming up, bringing the lefty, and then the lefty gets out. All right, we got to bring in the righty to face Giancarlo. Nah, whoever you bring out to face Aaron Judge better be able to get lefties out too. So they've kind of done away with the specialty pitcher
Well, I
from the
mean, am
bull.
I the only one? It's not just the Mets, is it? Like when I watch a game, you see the pitchers go about 5 innings. You got a different pitcher in the sixth, a different pitcher in the seventh, a different pitcher in the eighth, and your closer in the ninth if you're winning.
Well, I
That's
mean, okay,
garbage.
so your relief pitchers aren't. I mean, long gone are the days of like Goose Gossage, where you're gonna get somebody come in and get a three inning save. Like once the starting pitcher leaves, you're probably gonna get each pitcher is gonna pitch 1 inning unless you got your closer you need to get 4 or 5 outs for you. But that's been baseball since I remember watching it. Like once the starting pitcher leaves, all right, you got one guy who's gonna come in and pitch the 1 inning, and then you got your setup man who's gonna come in and pitch the eighth, and you got your closer who's gonna come in and pitch the ninth.
But
That's
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 what I
been
mean.
baseball
See, like
forever.
it used to be, you had your setup man, you had your closer. Your starting pitcher would get you 7 innings. He'll get you to the eighth, and then you got your setup man in the eighth, and you got your closer in the ninth. But
And
that's not even the
the
case. Now you got dudes coming in the fifth, coming in the sixth, coming in the seventh, coming in the eighth.
because they're not teaching these starting pitchers how to go deep into games. You want them to go 100 pitches as hard as they can. If that gets them to 7 innings, great. If it gets him through 4 innings, oh well, bring in the relief. That's how they do it now. And that's why I was saying the problem isn't you gotta have tag team starting pitchers, it's just you gotta teach these dudes how to pitch. Teach them how to pitch again. Don't just come in and throw. It's nice to have 103 in the bag. I don't need to see it 50, 60 times a game. All right. You come in, you use 100, like Chris Sale. He's the left-handed pitcher for the Braves. Chris Sale can throw 97, 98 when you need him to, but most of the time when Sale's throwing a fastball, it's 91, 92. He's working off that slider. And then in a late game situation or a tight situation, if he's gotta get it by you, you're gonna see 97, 98. And it's
Yep.
more effective because you haven't seen that all game. If
Right.
you got Paul Skeens out there throwing 88, 98, 99, 100 all the time, major league hitters can time that up.
They gonna catch
And
up to it.
they time it, they square it, and you throw hard, they hit it harder. You throw it in at 101, they're gonna hit it out at 117. And the balls it becomes a souvenir. I'm sorry, Josh. I didn't mean to jump in on you. Go ahead.
No, you guys are teaching me right now. My only question I was going to have was, do you think it matters with what you guys were all talking about? Do you think it matters with how many games are in an MLB season? Do you think the number
This
of
this
games
the
plays a
schedule's been
factor?
162 as far as I can remember.
Right, and
And
that's
this
kind
this
of what
is
I'm
this is a
saying.
recent issue. I mean,
Recent issue
I remember
because you got guys
and
coming in, like you said, who are not really pitching for position, but pitching for speed, pitching for
yeah, they're
throwing
not
that.
locating. They're just like Spencer Strider. I
Yep.
love him to death, but when he's coming off this injury, his first few games this season, he didn't have 98, 99, 100. He was sitting at 93, 94, and he was getting rocked because he used to be able to just throw it by guys. Now you got to learn how to locate. You got to learn how to use your breaking ball. You got to learn how to use your changeup. Later, as the season wore on, he started getting stronger where you see 97, 98, but he was also forced to develop his other pitches. So I'm looking forward to see what the second half is going to be like. But as recently as Justin Verlander, I remember you put Justin Verlander on the mound, you're going to get 150 pitches if you need it, and he's still pitching today. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. They invest so much money in these pitchers they want to handle with kid gloves, but I mean, I
But
understand.
to your point, Zeke, I don't know about you guys. I don't like the 100 pitch thing,
I
right?
can't
I
stand
mean,
it.
that can't,
If you can give me
every
more, give
single
me more.
time.
Yeah.
Exactly, bro. Like it used to be like, hey, how you feeling? Like the manager would walk up to the pitcher, like, how you feeling? You think you give me another inning? I got you.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the
Money,
It's
problem.
100 pitches. You're out, buddy.
A
money.
lot of times with these situations, the managers are just chess pieces. Like those calls are coming from upstairs.
Yeah,
Analytics. The GM and the owners are making these calls. They don't let the manager, they don't go with the gut feeling. They go with what the analytics say.
right.
And that sucks.
Yeah, it's to me, it's kind of ruining the game in that aspect. You know, I think the game is still a great sport, but it's ruining the game in that aspect.
And then they'll
You
blame
got
the pitch clock.
anything else to jump in there, Josh?
Nah, man, I'm not spotlighting myself. I don't know enough about the game, but
All right, no problem.
yeah, good discussion right there.
Absolutely. Dave, anything before we move on?
Nah, man, I'm good. You guys hit on it.
Okay, so let's jump into our other topic here. This was a wild story, bro. To me, we got the video for this, right?
Yep.
You guys got to see. Just play the video. You guys got to see this. It's crazy.
Martin, he was a beast. He used to look up at his stats. He got like 19 points. He'll look up and be like, I got too many points. What you mean you got too many points? If I keep scoring, then they gonna make me an all-star. I want my time to myself. He used to be like, I'm not scoring any.
That's it. I'm not scoring anymore. I want my time to myself.
Bro, that's wild to me. And so I thought it was appropriate, it being on the heels of the MLB All-Star game. Obviously, that's basketball. And also the drama that preceded that game. Obviously, we got that up on the screen as well here. The rookie, Jacob, how do you say his last name?
Mizorowski.
Mizorowski, where he only started 5 games, which to me was just insane, bro. He started 5 games in his whole career. and he made the All Star game. And so I don't know. We'll have a discussion about that. To me, that's crazy as well. But hey, listen, are All Star games overrated to players? Right? Jeremy Lamb said Kevin Martin decided to score less to not become one, so that way he could have more time to be with his family. But is this just the case of some players valuing their time over the money? And so, what do you think? Is the as far as um, All Star games, is this just time over money, or is there something more nefarious at play here? Um, I don't know. Uh,
I think this is worthy of a just more so a discussion point rather than a vote.
yeah, I think so too. And so, any of you guys want to jump in first? Dave?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Um, I think this may speak to how boring the organizations have made these All Star activities and festivities in each league. If I had to rank like who had the best, like out of the top four: NHL, NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball. If I had to rank them top, like for best to worst, I'd say NHL, MLB, NBA, and then NFL completely last. The NFL, what they do with the NFL went from a Pro Bowl game played in Hawaii, people getting crack bonuses handed out, to now these fools are playing flag football, and they're running through pylons, and they're doing trick catches on airbags now, which is completely stupid. Um, the NBA, they have former players who should be playing now doing the rap intros to the All Star game. You have a guy from the G League who should be in the NBA winning the slam dunk contest 3 years in a row, and they still haven't brought this guy back to the league, even after people have clamored and said this guy needs to be in the league. I don't care if you put him on the bench; he needs to be in the league. They haven't listened. Their All Star festivities are just completely stupid as well. Um, NHL to me, they've always had the best to me because of the skills competition and stuff. And now they have the what's the thing called, Zeke? The countries thing. Um, I forgot what they titled it. The NHL,
Oh,
where they, instead of their All Star break, they have the tournament.
yeah. I
That
can't remember
tournament
the
is
name of
off the hook. Everybody was watching that tournament. Non-hockey people were watching that tournament. It was amazing. And then you have MLB. MLB was a kind of a laughing stock a little bit, but then I feel like from last night, I feel like they brought it home. Um, if you guys have not seen the tribute to Hank Aaron that the Braves and MLB did before the game, if it doesn't give you chills or bring you to tears, you don't have a pulse. You don't have a soul. It's amazing what they did in tribute to Hank Aaron last night. And I applaud MLB for just the entire weekend. It was a historic All Star game where they had to do the home run battle to decide. It was just amazing. So if you guys, MLB Network is showing replays of that. You can catch it on YouTube. I'm sure that there's clips of it. But please, if you get an opportunity, check that out. To get back to the topic, though, um, these guys complaining about going to the All Star game. Um, I think it's clownish, to be honest with you, to have a guy say that he shows up to his job and he gives less effort than what the fans are paying to see him give. That's a clown move to me. I don't care. Um, I don't care about your time, your personal time. When you punch the clock, you're an employee of the league. You're an employee of the team that drafted you, that hired you, that signed your check. When you're on the court doing your job, and you check into the game. I know it sounds harsh, but your personal feelings on uh, what the league plans to do with you, or if they're going to vote you into the All Star game, that has nothing to do with you. It doesn't mean that you come and you give a lackluster performance, or you perform less than top notch because you don't want to get pulled into an All Star festivity because you want your free time. Um, There's better ways of doing it. Get elected to the team, decline the invitation, and give it to one of your teammates. Do it the right way, but don't tell me that you're a simp without telling me you're a simp. Okay, that's basically what these guys are doing, and it just tells me that they're not trustworthy, and that their organization is being shortchanged by them every time they step on the court. That's how I feel about it, man. You're out there to represent not only your league but your team, and to entertain the fans that pay to come see you do what you're paid to do and what you're good at. And so I think it's just it's a clown move for both of them.
All right, before we pass this we'll pass it to Josh next, but before we do that, let me just get your thoughts real quick. Since you said decline the invitation, speaking of decline the invitation, are you buying that the MLB reached out to many other pitchers before reaching out to Jacob Mizorowski? Before inevitably he accepted the invitation. Their claim is that they reached out to a lot of pitchers. You buying that?
Here's the thing. Um, at first, I didn't, but then when I started looking at the injuries and the workload that has been placed on pitchers this year, with the injuries coming, with people needing Tommy John and stuff like that, starters not going as long as they normally would go, and then bullpen guys having to be called in. At first, I was like, yeah, I don't really know if I believe that. I don't think they called on the right people. I think that there were options that they should have reached out to, that they didn't reach out to. And Mizorowski, he's a great pitcher. Um, but this kid has 5 starts in the MLB, man, and there's no reason that he should have been starting the All Star game. And excuse me, one last thing on Mizorowski, man. Zeke, you may know what I'm about to say, but several times last night they called this kid the Miz, and I'm gonna lose my
Yeah,
freaking mind if I
I
hear
wasn't feeling
another
that either.
analyst call a rookie pitcher or some new athlete a nickname that has already been given to another athlete. There's one Miz, okay, one. He's not a baseball player. That's all I'm gonna say.
I wasn't feeling that either.
Josh, tell me what you think, man. Jeremy Lamb talking about Kevin Martin scoring less. What do you make of all this, brother?
Man, Dave makes a lot of good points. You're you're a professional athlete. Your job is to get paid really well, handsomely, to do the one thing you're good at, and that's put the ball in the basket. Um, and so, I'm kind of on the fence here. I do agree that it might seem a bit selfish to be like, yeah, I'm not gonna put my best out there so that I can avoid getting nominated as an all-star so that I don't have to be away from home for too long. Um, and I want my time to myself. I just want to come in, I want to get my paycheck, and I want to go. When there are so many people who do that on a day-to-day basis, and their outlet is sports. It's their pastime. It's the one thing that like they have fun at doing. So they have to put in all this time at work to make the money to go spend at the game to later find that the player didn't really give it his all. I do see it from that fan perspective, and that's tough. Like, man, I don't know. But then I put myself in the player's perspective, and I'm like, what if I've got 4 kids at home? And my wife, she's with them all day long, and I see it from that perspective as well. Like, dude, as an organization, you're supposed to care about your investment. You're supposed to care about the mentality, right? When we were talking about the whole um, you know checking in on players, right, and considering their mental well-being also, because they're getting antagonized by fans, they're getting antagonized by media outlets, they're getting talked about in all which ways, and they're humans too, right? I see that perspective, and it's like if the guy just wants to play well and still add great value to the team and not be sold or in on all the extra fluff like an all-star, which I think we all have agreed that, there's a big risk in playing in any type of extracurricular um, game during a regular season because of the risk of injury, right? And especially if your team is on the upward towards that postseason, you could put yourself at risk, and you could be in an all-star game and not make the World Series, not make the Super Bowl, not make the finals. And I would feel sick if I was that player, right? Because I put in all this effort, put in all this work, dedicated all my time to this, and I can't make it for what? A couple of fun fan games? I don't know. So I see it both ways, and I just said all that long-winded, but I I don't know where I stand on this. I see it, and it's a difficult place to be in. Like I don't want to be in that position, to be honest. After thinking it through, like I don't want to be the one to have to decide whether I perform and do 100% the best and then neglect my children's 1, 2, 3, 4-year-old stages. That's a tough one.
All right. Well, I'll jump in next, but first, we got a couple comments that popped up. Throw those up on the screen because I actually agree with Matt. We appreciate you for chiming in here. Absolute bum mentality. I mean, it's really bad when you purposely sell on your team, and then he followed it up with, "If you think Kobe would do that, nah, bro, that's selfish." I mean, sports is real life too, though. You know what I mean? Like we all work with that one person that they're just there for a reason that you don't understand, right? They're not really working hard in the office or wherever it is that you may be. Their motivations are just different, right? You're there because you're a true believer. You believe in the cause of the company, maybe, right? And then you got someone who's just there just to collect a paycheck. You got someone who's just there because it's the only job they can find, or someone is just there because they're in, this is just what I do until I go back to school. You know what I mean? And so you got people with different motivations. I think as fans, we don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't understand that because we're passionate about the game and the sport, and we would kill, love, probably a better word,
Yeah.
to be in that position, to be able to be as good as these players are, and to be in that position where we could be out there making millions of dollars playing a game that we would play for free. We don't get it. We don't understand it. But you got people that are they're just gifted, man. They're just this is what they're good at. They don't really love it. And it always shocked me because like you would hear NFL players talk about how there's people in the locker room that they don't put in the time in the off season. They don't really care about it. And you would hear people in baseball and they don't love the game. They don't really love the game. And then we saw that firsthand, right, fellas, with Anthony Rendon. And I think we talked about that in one of the earlier podcasts where my man was just kind of like going through the motions. You can tell that dude don't care about baseball. He don't really care about the sport. He don't care about being out there on the field. And so like, bro, you got this tremendous gift. You got this tremendous opportunity and you're just blowing it. But people's priorities are different. And so like, while I absolutely agree with Matt that I think that's completely selfish, it's an absolute bum mentality. At the end of the day, you're gonna have people like that, and I do not agree with that at all. But that's just life, man. But I think it's crazy. I think it is crazy that like you got people blowing this spot up. But it'd be interesting to see like just how many people are on that same level, who agree with that. But yeah, Matt also posted, would you say Olympics? Would you say Olympics is the same? Hey, because when you're competing for yourself is different. And so like I think it hurts more when it's a team sport, and I think that's what Josh was alluding to, because he was talking about the aspect of, man, if I put in all this effort and I put in all this work, and then we weren't able to achieve that ultimate goal, because of you know, some dude just really didn't care as much as you. Like you're torn. And as a fan, we're torn because for some reason we decide to cheer these people on and pretend like, man, we just won. We didn't win nothing, man. They won. You know what I mean? But you become part of it, right? And so like you feel like you're part of that journey and part of that ride, and then you got people like this that really don't care. And so, nah, man, that's crazy to me. But I'll let Zeke jump in here.
Let me say something real quick, Peasy, because you made a good point at the end there. You know, people have the mentality where they say, um, hey, we won. We won this, and we're the couch potatoes. People get mad at you when you say we when it comes to your team, and I hate when it in a situation like this. I feel like the fans of the team the teams that these two clowns play for, I feel like they're more vested and invested than these guys are because they care and they ride and die. When people talk to me about the Yankees, I say, man, we need to get some pitching. And then you get somebody that comes up and say, what do you mean we? You don't play for the team. I said, listen, man, I've been a part of this team from the cradle. I didn't have a choice. Like it was literally almost figuratively like a gun was put to my head and said, you're gonna be a Yankee fan. And so from day one, it's been we. And it's always been that way. I'm not clout chasing and I'm not looking for any kind of pub, or trying to act like I almost made it to the show and play, it's none of that, man. I've been riding and dying with this team since day one, since I took my first breath, since I was able to recognize what the Yankee logo looked like. And so when my team has a hard time or they fail or they fall down, part of me falls with them. A lot of me falls with them.
Hmm.
And so when I hear two athletes that obviously have been blessed with this opportunity to be where they are, and you got guys that are in gyms every night of the week busting their butts trying to get a tryout, but then you got these guys who are just getting millions to just try not to be recognized as an all-star. It breaks my heart, man, because I know that there's 15 other guys that would love to be in that spot. 1,500, maybe 15,000 that would rather be.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just
And
want to.
that's why it makes it so hard to understand where that guy's coming from. But I don't want to steal any thunder that maybe Zeke has here. Zeke, why don't you get in here if you got something to add?
Well, shout out to
Uh,
Matt, man. Appreciate you for subscribing.
yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you.
the subscribe,
Absolutely.
Doc. Appreciate it. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet, and I think it's fitting that Dave was talking about the tribute to Hank Aaron last night. Hank Aaron has the record for most All-Star games played in with 25. Hank Aaron played 23 seasons.
Hmm.
23 seasons, 25 All-Star games. There was a period of time where Major League Baseball had 2 All-Star games. And every time Hank Aaron was called upon to play in the All-Star game, he did it. And now you got guys talking about they tank their stats so they don't get named an All-Star. Look, if you don't want to name, nobody's saying, oh, because we voted you in or because we named you to the team, you got to play. Now, if you look at the Pro Bowl, you got guys who make the team as the 6th, 7th, 8th reserve because guys don't want to do it. So you don't have to do it, but don't sacrifice um, um, your stats that would benefit the team just because you don't want to be an all-star. I'm paying you for a regular season. The all-star game check is a bonus, so if you don't want it, decline it. But I'm paying you to give me your all for an 82 game season in basketball and 16 plus in the postseason if we get far enough to win a championship. So to know that he was going out there and like part of me hopes this is just Jeremy Lamb clowning, like this isn't really true. But when I saw this video and I saw the response from Kings fans, Kevin Martin played for the Kings. It was like, oh, it makes a lot of sense now. Like they were having flashbacks of I guess mediocre performances from Kevin Martin, where it's like, oh,
Bro,
this
you don't
makes sense
clown around
because
about
this
something
guy
like
could have
that
given
though.
us so much more when he was worried about not making the All-Star team. Like if you don't want to play in the game, don't play. You can come, you
Yeah.
can wave to the crowd, thanks for voting me on,
Right.
but I pay you for 82 games. As an owner, I expect you to give your all for 82 games. So, yes, this is
What
sad.
does that say, fellas, about the state? Because, like, not for nothing, if there was one All-Star game where it's they're like the players are just going through the motions, it probably would be the NBA All-Star game. Who goes through the motions more than NBA players at the All-Star game? They don't play defense. They're just going up the court laughing, throwing alley oops. Nobody's even trying. And so part of me is there like, bro, like if you got a family at home, I can understand that. Go be
Mhm.
with your family because this is just a glorified like it's not like there's more competitive games from those same NBA players in the off season, right? You see it happen all the time. So like maybe it's speaking more about the NBA game than it is anything else. Because that MLB game, if we want to transition to talk at least a little bit about how I thought the All Star game for the MLB last night was amazing. And I love the new system that they adopted with the hit off. That was actually what tanked the MLB All Star game. I don't remember how many seasons ago it was at this point when they decided to end in a draw, and everybody was furious. Just they're like,
I
"How
think
do
that
you
was '03.
disrespect the game?" Yeah, by ending in a draw, and they tried to to tinker with the game. Until the latest collective bargaining agreement came up with this, swing off, right? Phenomenal drama. I loved it. I would have loved it a lot more to Dave's point in our chat if we would have got to see if these players weren't going home and we would have got to see the matchup. I think, I'm a Mets fan and this is the matchup I wanted to see. I want to see Aaron Judge versus Otani. Two of the premier players in the game, bro. Like, this coming from a Mets fan. I want to see Judge versus Otani. That would have been special to me. And I think in that moment, although it ended phenomenal, I think as an MLB fan, we got robbed of that.
Yeah.
Anything
Yeah.
you
As
guys
a
want to chime
Braves
in on
fan,
it?
I think we got robbed of either Acuna or Olsen being in one of those. So I read that these
Olsen,
lineups were predetermined. Yeah, Matt Olson, first baseman, Atlanta Braves. He was in the home run derby.
like MLB national appeal. I can understand Acuna, but why Olsen? You think he
Okay,
has
so
national appeal?
if you let me finish what I was about to say.
There we go.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
These lineups were predetermined before the game even started. So the original lineup, if we get to extra innings and we have this swing off, it was supposed to be. I know for the national, I didn't look at the American League. They had whoever it was in the American League. That's who it was supposed to be. National League was supposed to be Eugenio Suarez from the Diamondbacks, Schwarber from the Phillies, and Polar Bear from the Mets. All right. Once Eugenio Suarez got hit and was pulled out of the game, that's when you pivot to like a Olsen or a Cunha. I'm not talking about national appeal. This game was in Atlanta. Put one of them boys in the spot to come up big for the home team in front of their home stadium. No, he puts in Kyle Stowers, some rookie from the Marlins. So
Yeah, that was
if
weak.
I'm a Braves fan, I got the Marlins, the Phillies, and the Mets. I'm not happy when I got Acuna and Olsen sitting there on the bench. Get one of those boys up there, but I'm not gonna repeat
I
what
agree with the Acuna thing.
one of us said about Dave Roberts, but I agree with you, big dog.
Who was that, man? Who said something?
I'm not gonna throw nobody under the bus on this podcast right now. But
Now
I agree
I
with
agree
you.
with you on Acuna. I agree with it's take out Stowers, put in Acuna. That's a matchup as an MLB fan I would much rather see as well.
Yeah, I don't know. But National
Josh
League
or
won. I'm
Dave?
happy.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, unless you got anything you want to chime in there, Josh or Dave, I'll move on.
No, I'm
Nah,
good.
We need a little music, to enter into the podcast that transitions us to the weekly roundup. I'm just calling it right now. We need a little something.
Yeah,
well,
we'll
how
get
about this?
something.
Before we get to the weekly roundup, we got to touch on it happened today.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, hit
I'll
it
make
up.
it quick. So yeah, back in 1941, on this day, Joe DiMaggio went 3 for 4, extended his hitting streak to 56 straight games, and that is a streak and a record that stands to this day. I don't think it will ever be broken. Uh, it'd be fun to watch. I've seen guys. I'm not sure what the highest is, but rarely do you see guys get to like the high 30s, low 40s. So I don't see anybody touching this. It's just a testament of his consistency and his
Yeah,
professionalism. He was. This is back in the era where like you wanted to put the ball in play, and if it happened to go over the fence, so be it. This was before the three true outcomes of home run, strikeout, or pop out. So yeah,
facts.
shout out to Joe D.
Big Joe.
Bro, just look at that year, 1941.
41, and nobody's come close since then.
Nobody's come close.
It's
What was it?
crazy.
28 games, I
There's a
think.
lot of swing and miss in the game today.
A
I
lot of
think you're
swing and
right. I
miss.
don't think that'll ever be touched. They're teaching swing and miss. They're teaching hits for power. Um, and they're not valuing guys like with the skills of a Joe DiMaggio.
Mm-hmm.
Dudes can hit
Please.
219, and as long as they're hitting the ball over the fence 40 times a year, they're getting a mega contract. So the game has definitely changed.
If anybody would have broken, I thought it would have been Tony Gwynn, but
Yeah,
no, he's
and
clearly
he's
Facts. Me
long
too.
gone. So
going close.
Me too.
this one, Josh, do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, I'll touch
As
on
a
it.
Spurs fan,
I'm a Spurs fan. I appreciate you giving my boy Kawhi a little shine here. But in 2017,
yeah,
Kawhi Leonard re-signs with the San Antonio Spurs to a 5-year, $90 million contract. This was big time during this time. Everybody was, starting to realize like Kawhi was just this freak of nature, if you will. Like the dude has hands that are like
the
triple the
claw.
size of a normal person's hands, and just his consistency on the basketball court and his just quiet, reserved kind of mentality as in his Spurs career. He has since kind of, I would say, blossomed a little bit, and his blossom is very awkward with that laugh. I'm sure everybody has come to see those memes of yeah. But yeah, no, this was great, and Kawhi was able to get a ring with Tim Duncan, Tony Parker.
Yeah, that was before this contract. I wanted to point out this contract because he played a grand total of like, I don't know, 20 games after
It,
signing this contract for the Spurs and then left and won the championship the
yeah,
next year with the Raptors.
I understand, and I didn't want to bring that up, but that is a fact. After signing this big deal, he left the Spurs and forever broke my Spurs heart. So,
All
um,
right, fellas. Well, let's keep moving on this one. Do we have the video of Pete Alonso's comments during the All Star game?
I hope not.
I don't think
We don't.
no, I don't have it. Nope.
Thank
Oh man,
God.
it would have been you. I think that is just fascinating and
Burying
hilarious.
his
Not just
worst.
because Pete Alonso said it. Anyone could have said it really, and I would have thought it was equally hilarious. Pete Alonso said during an interview during the All Star game, if you didn't catch it, that he wants hockey style fighting in baseball. So what his proposal was that if they want to have a fight rather than having the teams come out, because right now when there's like someone gets hit with a pitch, maybe he throws his helmet on the floor, he's mad, he charges the mound. Both bullpens, dugouts, everybody from each side comes out, storms the field. And Pete Alonso says, you know what? We don't need that in baseball. You could get hurt in that mosh pit. It should be more like hockey style. You got one on one. And whoever wins doesn't get ejected. Whoever loses, they're out of here, right? That's what he said. Now, what he also added is, hey, if that person doesn't want to engage in that combat, he can take a knee. And then it's just whatever. You go take your base. There's no harm. There's no foul. You don't get ejected. But it's basically just backing down, cowering a little bit, which, I mean, that's like, bro, test your manhood. I don't know what you guys think. I think that's wow. That's crazy, bro.
Okay, I'm gonna say
But
this. That has now surpassed and taken the spot of the dumbest thing I've heard come out of your mouth in this podcast. That is dumb.
I'm
Peter,
repeating what Pete said.
and it came out of your mouth, and it's dumb. No, man. First of all, hockey players, they both get sent to the penalty box. So, whoever wins gets to stay in the game. No, that's dumb. You run out to the mound knowing that you're gonna get ejected. You get your money's worth. Just like when managers come out and they get ejected, so they kick dirt on the plate and they go out and throw second base in the center field, stuff like that. Like you go out and get your money's worth. But I mean, look, honestly, if baseball players really wanted to fight, what's stopping them? Like they
Right.
always run halfway out to the mound and then they wait for the catcher, hold me back, hold me back. And then they wait for their team to come out of the dugout, hold me back. And then you got the bullpens, they're both jogging in from the same section of the field and they're looking at each other laughing like, ha ha ha, this is stupid, but we got to do it because we want to show that we're part of the team. And nothing really happens. Baseball fights are dumb. So if baseball players really wanted to fight, you would run to the mound like Robert Ventura, and when you're on the mound, you wait for him to get there. You put him in a headlock. You punch him in the head like Nolan Ryan did. I don't know. Pete, shut up.
But
Hit
there's
home
been some
runs.
good fights, and when the fights happen, they're classic. I mean, look at what my man from the Guardians now, when he rock and sock him, Tim Anderson, he goes down, bow, knocked him right in the face. Man, those are some classics. I will tell you this,
Yeah,
like when I
you
go
had
to hockey
Rougned
games.
Odor and knocking out Jose Batista at second base.
Oh
So
yeah, that was special, bro. If
when
we
they
can
want
get
to
moments
fight,
like
you
that, I'm
had
cool with it.
I remember Homeboy. I can't remember who it was, but he like drop kicked the catcher or something like that. It was something ridiculous.
Yeah, dude. He ran straight at him and
uh,
just drop kicked
Like
him.
he kicked the catcher because he was like, this is the only one that's gonna stop me from getting to the pitcher. So he took the catcher out and then he ran out to the pitcher. You want to fight, you can fight. You know, just know you're gonna get tossed. You're probably gonna get suspended, but go into it knowing and ready to sign that check. Because if you're really about that life, you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yo, and I'm just going to be transparent with the audience. When I go to watch hockey games, and I've been to a few, I think, at this point. When I go to watch hockey games, bro, I'm going for the fights. Oh, you don't let him check you like that? You better fight him. You know what I mean? I'm going for the fight. Now, I don't think MLB needs that, but I mean,
I don't know, man. I think that front office needs to have Pete Alonso drug tested immediately.
Facts.
Because this is the dumbest thing I've
Check
ever
him
heard
out
in
for
my life.
CTE or something.
It sounds, yeah, he's been chilling with Paul Pierce. I
Pete
think
knows
they
he a
was
big
hanging out
man. If
for
he charges the mound, ain't nobody gonna beat. And there's no pitcher I know that's gonna stand up there and be like, "All right, Pete, I got you."
No, there's plenty of pitchers out there who are some dogs.
Yeah,
Who do you
man.
think would be a good matchup? Pete
I want to
Alonso
see. I want
versus
to see him charge Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens ain't no
Paul
punk.
Skeens.
Yes, Paul
He's too
Skeens.
young. He's too young.
Too
He ain't ready for
young.
that.
You act
For
like
that
Pete is
grizzled
a
man
grizzled
strength.
35-year-old vet.
He got that grizzled man strength, man. He just sit on him, polar bear style.
Okay.
He too young.
Okay.
All right, I'm just messing at this point. Hey, let's go. Let's go into the next on the weekly roundup, guys. I don't know if you guys realize this, but the NFL looks like they got a problem on their hands. Um, they have only two players signed out of all the people in the second round. And for our audience watching, there's 32 teams that pick in the second round, and as of right now, only two of those players have been signed. And so, why is that a new phenomenon? Well, because two teams decided to give their players in the second round an unprecedented guaranteed contract. And so now every second round draft pick wants a guaranteed contract. Who were those teams? Yes, if you guessed the Bengals, or excuse me, if you guessed the Browns, you were right. Right? That's definitely one of the teams because whenever they do something foolish, usually it's around the Cleveland Browns. I'm sorry for my Browns fans out there. But the other team was the Houston Texans. Fellas, is this going to get resolved?
Yeah, it will. Those boys want to get paid. It'll get resolved. Even if they're getting the league minimum, it'll get resolved.
But you know what's interesting, and to throw another caveat into this, there is only one first round draft pick that is not signed to this day, and that is from the Cincinnati Bengals with Shamar Stewart threatening to return to college, and at this point, he's a first round pick. These guys get NIL deals, and the contracts for these NIL deals sometimes are more than what they're getting paid in the NFL.
Not for
He's not hurting that much.
I don't think he can go back to. He's talking about going back to practice with his college team. I don't think college football is an option for him anymore.
Yeah,
just
no,
based on the
that's
rules.
it.
He's going back to play with his college team or practice with his college team.
Yeah.
But as far as like lining up and suiting up for the Aggies again, he can't do that. But yeah, my man is standing 10 toes down. He don't like the contract, so he's like, look, I'll just go somewhere else and play,
And
and
it's
I'll
just
re-enter the
one
draft
part of
next
the
year if I have
contract.
to.
It's not the whole thing, right? It's just one small piece.
Yeah, small piece of language that he doesn't like is the whole, oh, if you slip up, we can void the contract or void the guarantee or something like that.
Which is
Sign a bonus on it.
wild to me because he
That's
should
very wild because it's too
focusing
broad.
on that because he's too young and he's got to prove himself in the league. So yeah, you shouldn't slip up. Like, but that yeah.
No, but I think it painted too broad. Like the no fun league, you get suspended for anything. You get a late hit on the quarterback that isn't all
I was
that
just gonna
late,
say
but
that. Yep.
quarterbacks are coddled these days. So if you get hit with a suspension for a late hit on the quarterback, if the Bengals wanted to be grimy, they'd be like, "Oh, we know it wasn't a late hit, but the league said it was. You got suspended. We're taking your money." I'd be a little cautious about that too.
Right. I mean,
There's
just
it's not
imagine.
necessarily a slip up like Henry Ruggs where you go out and drive around the city in a sports car and unalive somebody. It's
Mhm.
just he wants to be careful. He wants to protect himself from something goofy like a late hit or a dumb penalty that gets him suspended.
Yeah, but that
So I
stuff
could
can be looked at as like I just disagree. Right? I don't think like if you're going to get a late hit, that stuff can be looked at and they can prove whether it was malicious or not.
they
That
No, no,
can,
that's not the
but if they
point.
wanted to be grimy and say, "Hey, you got suspended, we're taking your money," he wants to protect himself
Right.
against that.
So imagine, Josh, imagine it's week 10 or week 12, and your first round draft pick, the home fans are starting to boo because they're thinking, like, man, this guy's supposed to sack the quarterback, and he don't got any quarterback sacks, right? And then he finally gets to the quarterback, late hit, suspended. That wasn't a late hit. I thought he had the football, right? And so it doesn't matter. They're looking at this like, hey, we could get out of this contract. This dude is a scrub. And all of a sudden, he's out of his money. So I understand where he's coming from. It's unprecedented language in his contract. And so, like, yeah, like, I mean, the Bengals are just a mess.
how many first round picks were voided of their contracts because of something like a on field penalty?
How many first round picks had that type of language in their contract?
That's exactly it, Josh.
All of them.
No one's had that.
All
No,
of them.
no,
All the Bengals. All the Bengals rookies have had it so far.
that's not true. He actually wants the Bengals to add the same language to last year's first round draft pick is his request. Hey, just give me what you gave the last year's first round draft pick, and I'm good. That's what his contention
That's
is.
not what I read. I read it as all the Bengals rookies contracts have the same language when it comes to their if they were to get in some sort of trouble.
Wait, he told the team that to go change the language on last year's first round picks contract.
No, he wants the
No,
language from
no.
last year's first
He
Oh,
round
I'm
just
pick.
about to say, man,
right. He's
what
just
a stupid
extending the same contract you gave your last first round pick, and they want to change things up this year. And so his agent caught that and said, "Hey, you don't want to sign that."
Maybe I misunderstood the article. Then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
All right. I know this is something Dave wanted to jump into. Teddy Bridgewater got suspended the other day. For those who don't know, Teddy Bridgewater, former Louisville football star, collegiate quarterback, turned Minnesota Viking, and then he bounced around the league quite a few times after that.
Nice.
Up and down kind of season, career. But he was a talented brother. So now he's a high school football coach, and he just got suspended for illegal contributions totaling $70,000 to his team. Dave, I'll let you jump in so that way you can give a little bit more
I wanted
context
to,
of what that was.
I actually wanted to respond to what went on. I was hoping that you would elaborate more on it.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, so essentially what he was doing was he was paying for their for
Uber
healings, right?
rides,
Like
Uber
um,
rides,
Uber
meals,
rides, massages, meals, things like that. Yes, thank you, Josh. And so
Physical
like
therapy massages. Make that clear.
Yes.
physical therapy, yeah,
That's
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
not the
no
Deshaun
Deshaun.
Watson guy, yeah, no Diddy.
Not the
And so
Deshaun Watson specials.
that's right. Yeah, none of those specials. Yeah, he's not that quarterback, guys. He's not that quarterback. But yeah, so maybe that's an unfair advantage. My thought on it was really like when I heard it was they're like, bro, like $70,000, like the high school can't be paying you that much. You're gonna have to. My thought was you're gonna have to start coming out of retirement soon. You're gonna keep doing this. How many years you're gonna dole out that kind of money? But I mean, if he's willing to do that, then I guess to each his own. But Dave, what are your thoughts?
So listen, man, this is to me, in my opinion, it's a clear case of um, we need you, but we don't want you.
Hmm.
In the sense that he's been around this program for a while. He's been helping to coach the team, and apparently for the last 2 seasons, he's been helping to coach the team, but he's been doing it from the bleachers. So now he's allowed to be the coach and be on the sideline, and he's trying to do the right thing. Nobody else is stepping up and helping to pay these fees and these things that come up for these kids. So he did it out of pocket. Now, granted, there may be some language or something that says, "Hey, you can't do this," that I'm not privy to, and maybe he is, but I don't see anything illegal about this. These kids they had needs, man. Um, they had medical expenses and things like that. He was trying to help them with, trying to get them home and get them to where they needed to be, paying for transportation and all that kind of stuff. And instead of just kind of saying, "Hey, listen, this can't be done," or being smarter by putting that language in the contract and making it clear from the outset. And it ends up looking to the public like, hey, we need Teddy and we need his image and we need his reputation, but we don't necessarily need him. That's what it boils down to for me. I can't think of one parent that would complain about that. If my son's football coach said, "Hey, listen, um, your son needed treatment on his knee, and I didn't want to bother you guys with it because I know you guys have a lot going on, whatever." I took on that expense, and it's just something that I wanted to do. What parent is going to complain about that? I think this was probably just a move by the administration. They found out about it and they were embarrassed that the coach had to come out of his own pocket to pay these expenses, and I think this is just a way for them to save face. So that's just my opinion on it. So
Yeah. I agree with you, Dave. I don't see any difference with like some fancy rich prep school in Southern California where all the parents are lawyers and multi-millionaires and they're doing all this stuff for their own children and their own sports team. So I don't see the difference here. If Bridgewater wants to take care of the players, right, and give them all the best that he can possibly give them, more power to him. Like it's not like he's literally padding their pockets with dollars, right, and giving them money, right, to just do whatever they want to do with. Like he's literally paying for their rides, paying for their meals and recovery services, making sure that they're healthy when it comes to game time. So it's, to me, it's crazy. I don't know why it got to be such a big deal. And to add a little bit more to this is after he confirmed that he was suspended and everything, what he did was he ended up going to the fan base and asking the fan base to donate to help cover those
yeah,
same things in his absence. So what are they going to do? Fire the fans too? Like,
right. So clearly the
Yo,
administration of this football team isn't involved because if he's doing it and he's saying, "I got to get a backup plan
yeah,
in place because I'm not going to be able to do it,"
yep,
how come the backup plan isn't the school district?
yep, exactly.
I'm gonna be devil's advocate just to make Zeke happy here.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
Look, Zeke
Josh, hit
rolled
the
his
button,
eyes.
man. Hit the button, Josh.
Hit the button, mute him quick, bro. I remember when we played in Rochester, New York, School of the Arts baseball team. I used to be bitter, man, because like we didn't have like those kind of like facilities that a lot of these other baseball teams had. We would go out to McQuaid. They had like indoor, like full out batting cages, weight training rooms to the 10th, you know what I mean, level and everything. And they're a whole baseball field with like bullpens on the side and like actual fences. We just had a park in the middle of, that it was public park that they just rented for us. And to me, I was always there like, man, if we had that kind of facilities and we had that kind of attention and care and service, man, we'd be able to do better too. I think that's unfair. Bro, that's as a player on the other team. Nah, man, rub some dirt on that knee if it's hurting, man. That's what I got to do at my school. Why you get special treatment because you hired a celebrity coach? Nah, I don't get any of that. We playing fair. Rub some dirt on that.
Nah, bro. Nah, bro.
Bro, we have
Nah,
so many suburbs in this area that kind of stuff takes place, man.
bro, it's
Pittsburgh,
not.
Victor, you
It's
name
got
it.
to be even playing field. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Let me stop.
It sounds like
Crazy.
Chris is an advocate for everybody gets a trophy.
No, not at all. Not at all. Hey man, I just want to play fair. If I get my knee hurt during the game, who's paying my medical bill? You know what I mean? Like you gonna pay for the
New
other
York
team
State.
too?
This dude, man.
All right.
Kathy Hope,
Anyways,
cover your bill.
uh, we'll end it with this, fellas. MLB draft was this past week, and so any comments on how that went down? For those of you who don't know, MLB draft really doesn't get the pub that like some of the other drafts do, like the NBA draft or the NFL draft. MLB draft goes under the radar, but I think a lot of that is due like you don't see these guys typically next year. It's not like they get drafted onto the major league team. So I think
Right.
that has a lot to do with it. Just to be fair, a lot of times these guys are 4, 5 years away. A lot of times they're drafting these dudes out of high school, and sometimes even younger. And so, like, you're not going to see these guys. They're developmental. They showed a little bit of promise, and teams just want to claim them. And sometimes these players get drafted more than once, which is just crazy. Just because they're like, yeah, you know what? I got drafted to the Major League Baseball, but I'm not going to go play for your single A affiliate. I'm going to go back to school. And so, like, they just go back into the system. They get drafted. They get drafted the next year after that. So there's a lot that goes into the MLB draft. But Dave, I know you had some things that you wanted to kind of comment about that.
Yeah, man. The draft pretty much sucked this year. So that's all I gotta say. Is
They were all
you got
shortstops,
our
man.
you got
Shortstops and pitchers.
our hometown team. They didn't do the drafting, but their parent team did, the Washington Nationals. No disrespect to the young man that they picked. Everybody claims that this guy is, he's destined to be a star. I don't know how many times I've heard that before. Ethan Holiday should have been our number one pick. When I say our, I mean the home team, the Washington Nationals,
Rochester,
Rochester Red Wings,
Rochester
and
Red
Triple
Wings. Yeah.
A. We should be watching Ethan Holiday for the next at least year. Play here in Rochester. Um, yeah, but instead we're going to be watching a young man named Eli Willits, who I've never heard of before in my life. The kid could be good. He comes from a Christian family. That's fine and dandy. This is baseball. Um, I'm just keeping it. I'm
Don't let
keeping
me
it a
with
buck with
Saquon.
y'all, man. With it's ball, man. It's like young man's salvation seems like it's intact, bro. I'm worried about the on field stuff right now. You know what I'm saying? I know that sounds a little crazy, but come on, man. It's ball. Ethan Holiday, we should have had him. That's all I gotta say.
Here's the thing with Eli. He's got some major league pedigree. He's another one of
Yeah.
those kids who his father played in the show for a little bit. Reggie Willits. He played with Reggie Willits. This is a side story. Reggie Willits and Howie Kendrick were on the same team. They played for the Angels. Now, when I saw those names, I definitely expected Reggie Willits to be the black guy and Howie Kendrick to be the white guy.
Yep.
Total opposite.
Yep.
It blew my mind when I saw the pictures, but Yeah, he's one of those guys who he's got that Major League Baseball pedigree. So I mean, it sucks that we didn't get Ethan. We see Jackson doing his thing for the Orioles, and we all know what Matt Holliday did in his career. So it would have been nice to have Ethan around for a little while, but I don't know how much we would have been able to see from him because like a lot of these teams they'll take their top prospects and go straight from Double A to the majors because I mean if they you don't want to waste them. Once they end up in Triple A after they get to the majors and struggle, then they'll send them down to Triple A. So I don't know how much of Eli we would have seen anyway, but yeah,
Yeah,
I know Dave was excited to have Ethan, and he got Eli. So
yeah,
I'm
man.
sorry,
I
Dave.
was crushed. I mean, we had Dylan Cruz. I went to see Dylan Cruz play a few times, and it's like they even printed up his cups, man. The dude ain't even here no more.
You
You
got
see
the
him?
Cruz Cup.
We got the Cruz cups, man. We got these at the game, and my man he's at in the show, But that's
And
what
he
they
He'll
might
do.
be
be back
back
down
down
here.
there before long.
That's what I'm saying.
He might be
He's not
back.
doing well. But I think because of the star power and the draw, they're afraid to send him back down.
They don't need him. They got James.
They don't,
Yeah, he
man.
beast.
They don't. They really don't, man. But I mean, I don't know, man. It just, I don't know. But
You know,
Z,
it's ironic. Like New York, Rochester Red Wings is the affiliate for the team that's closest to me here in Virginia, which is the Washington Nationals. That's kind of my like local team, and obviously your local team as well. You had something else you wanted to add, Dave?
yeah, man. Me and Z got to see what's the kid's name?
Christian Campbell.
Christian Campbell play. I got to see him play 2 games here this past weekend. They were playing against the Red Wings, and he hit a 3-run home run the night that we saw him play, and
Yeah.
then they lost that game 12-7. There was like literally no defense whatsoever in that game.
Pitching was trash.
Pitchers ERAs were like 6.8, and it
We
was
we watched we
ridiculous
watched the ERAs go up above 7 in real time.
in real time. This kid started with a 6.75 and ended up with like a 7.09 or 7.08, something like that.
Dang.
But so watching Christian play, that was kind of wild. Um, I didn't like the fact, so we was front row, man, right next to the dugout, right beside the dugout, and I didn't like the fact. One thing that always bothers me, man, I don't feel like any player has an obligation to sign autographs for kids, but I hate when there's a bunch of little kids yelling a player's name and they're purposely playing catch, toss or whatever with another player, and they purposely ignore these kids and they leave these kids hanging. I can't stand that, and that's something that I watched Christian Campbell do 2 nights in a row. He didn't sign a single autograph for any of the kids. The crowd wasn't big at all, man. There was so many empty seats because it was very hot. Nobody wanted to be sitting out. And I mean, we were in that when we went to a 6:45 game, and the temperature's still like 86, 87 degrees,
And it was humid.
and it was very humid. So the Saturday night game, we got a little bit of rain, and it cooled off a little bit. But however, there was one person I want to touch on this real quick before we leave. There was one player that used to play in the he was a part of the Chris Sale trade, I believe you said, Z.
Vaughn Grissom.
Vaughn Grissom. I watched. I think we both watched Vaughn Grissom. There was a young man standing right by at the end of the row at the dugout, and as Vaughn Grissom was approaching the dugout, the kid was held out his ball and said, "Would you sign my ball?" And he looked at the kid and he said, "What?" And the kid said, "Would you sign my ball?" He goes like this and turned his back to the kid. And I'm like, I don't I don't care. I'm gonna keep it Christian, man. I am. I'm gonna keep it godly, man. But Von Grisham, I don't I can't I can't roll with a person like that, man. You're an athlete, bro. And it's like you don't owe that kid anything but the reaction that you gave that kid. He's gonna remember that for the rest of his life. And the kid looked like he was probably about 16, like 16, 17 years old. But I look at how these guys are supposed to be the ambassadors of the game. Even at this level, it doesn't matter that you're not in the show. But if you act like this at this level, imagine how he's going to act when he goes back to the show. It's just pathetic. So Von Grissom, for the rest of his career, the whole time he plays ball, I have zero love for Von Grissom, man. Zero.
Hey, so if you're out there and you know Von Grissom, let him know Dave just ripped him apart. Maybe we can have him on the podcast to defend himself. But
nah, man.
yeah.
I hope the bat boy where you're playing saws little notches in your bat, and every time you go up the bat, your bats break.
Dang.
Listen, let me lighten this up just a little bit. Let's talk about another Von.
Oh, okay.
Plans to sign with the Commanders. Oh, okay.
Signing with the Commanders.
Okay.
I don't know, man.
Commanders might be good this year.
Von Miller is a decent pickup for a squad that needed a little bit of help on that front.
Is he really, Josh?
I think he is. I think he is. After he rested this year, basically, if he's in full form, he might be pretty decent to at least come in and be a strong voice in that locker room to train up the next generation. At the very least,
I don't know, man. I don't think I want to spend much time on Von Miller, bro. But I do want to spend a little bit of time on this before we go. And this is the last thing that I will say is that just personally, me as a Christian, in my formative years, a man who had a profound impact on my life was Pastor John MacArthur, who just passed away a couple days ago. For those who don't know him, got his book right here. That's Pastor John MacArthur. He just passed away. Profound impact on my life. If you guys, by the way, if you guys have never, picked up his book, The Gospel According to Jesus, amazing book. I mean, I learned so much about the gospel that I believe in and theology and how it all comes together. And he talks about, Jesus's understanding of salvation in that book. It was profound. And as a young Christian, if we got young Christians out there that are struggling to kind of understand what they believe, you know what I mean? And how it all comes together in a worldview, in a context, I would definitely recommend picking up some of his sermons and just looking into that. That dude was, he was an ambassador of the faith like none other. So grace and peace to the man who, started the podcast, Grace to You. And rest in peace to Pastor John MacArthur.
Yes, sir.
It's in a better place, God willing.
Yeah, for sure. But with that note, guys, thanks for joining us. Hey, we'll be back 9 p.m. next week, Wednesday. We'll keep more the topics coming at you. So anything else to add, guys?
Yeah, if anybody out there has topics they want us to discuss, just throw them in the comments. Don't be afraid to comment. We're looking for feedback, and we're just looking to interact with everybody. So if you got any topics you want to see us chop up, just put them in the comments.
That's right. But keep the comments polite. Not like last week where people was talking about my man's neck. I don't appreciate that.
Unbelievable.
What?
Zeke.
What?
Zeke.
Zeke,
what?
You're trying to be funny, Zeke.
I got you, bro.
That's all right. You're trying to be funny. I got you next week, Zeke. All right, fellas.
All right, guys.